On the line with us, we have Mr. Craig Steffensen, who is the Country Director of Asian Development Bank's Thailand Resident Mission. Good afternoon, Mr. Steffensen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, the Asian Development Bank has given Thailand about $3 million in flood assistance. Can you elaborate on how the money will be spent?
The $3 million is provided through ADB's Asia Pacific Disaster Response Fund. It's a quick dispersing grant and will assist Thailand deal with the floods. It can support activities including emergency rescue equipment, medical kits and food. It could be used for temporary classrooms and teaching equipment. In other words, it's very flexible.
Okay.
But the key words are to rescue and restore, the situation in Thailand.
And which agencies or organizations will be responsible to spend this money?
Well, the funds will go to the Public Debt Management Office, which is part of the Ministry of Finance, and it's really up to the Ministry of Finance how the funds are used.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And are there any conditions attached to this help aid that you're giving?
Not really. It's quite flexible. The only condition is that the funds should not be used to cover retroactive expenditures.
Okay, just that. Very plain and simple. Okay, and what kind of measures or social programs do the Thai government should implement to help the poor devastated by the floods?
Yeah, our view is that they've already taken a lot of steps to assist people deal with the crisis, including, low-interest loans to restore housing, businesses, government offices, and factories. And they're also providing cash grants to households that were affected. I guess the greatest needs are probably in housing and, to restore livelihoods. And the government is, looking at what they can do in the immediate term to do so. Provision of microcredit is probably another area where they need to start up.
Okay. Well, that's very generous of the ADB, and thank you very much for sharing the information with us, Mr. Steffensen.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you.
Thailand's legal team yesterday submitted a letter of observation to the International Court of Justice, or ICJ, in The Hague to support its argument in the court's interpretation of its 1962 judgment on the Pravihan or Priya Vihir temple border dispute with Cambodia. Foreign Minister Surapong Towichak Chaikun said. The 600-page document has been submitted to the court, and I am confident it is logical and convincing enough to win the legal battle, Surapong told reporters. Thailand and Cambodia's conflict over disputed land near the temple has led to military clashes in recent years, the most serious of them in February this year. The ICJ ruled in 1962 that the Hindu temple is situated in Cambodian territory, but Thailand argues that a stretch of land adjacent to the temple belongs to it. Cambodia brought the case to the court in April, asking for an interpretation of the original ruling to clarify that the territory adjacent to the temple is Cambodian territory. Phnom Penh backed up its argument with French maps from the colonial era that indicate the temple is on the Cambodian side of the border. Surapong did not disclose details of the documents that the Thai team submitted to the court, but said they were in line with arguments made under the previous government. The kingdom's legal team is unchanged, and there has been no shift in the legal case, he said. Asked if the government would try to convince Cambodia to withdraw the case, Surapong said it was better to allow the court to make a decision, given the difficulty the two countries have experienced in finding a proper solution to the matter. A Thai conglomerate is trying to address the issue of investors' confidence regarding the Thai floods to an international community here in Bali. The recent floods in Thailand have affected 17 provinces and caused the deaths of more than 600 people, the majority of which have died from drowning, according to government figures on Sunday. 7 industrial states located in the central region and in Bangkok were hit by the worst floods in 50 years. A number of factories halted operation and the country's supply chain were disrupted. According to the industry ministry, total damages to the 7 industrial states alone amount to 237 billion baht, accounting damages to machineries, raw materials, and finished products. Despite this scenario, Kan Trakoon Hun, the president and CEO of Siam Cement Group, or SCG, the largest cement manufacturer in Thailand, expressed his confidence in the future of Thailand as an investment destination to the international community at the ASEAN Business and Investment Summit in Bali.
I still believe that, this flood, the incident is a short-term and temporary. And immediately after the flood, the demand of all the construction materials for infrastructure will pick up. We have seen already some in the northern part of Thailand after the flood, after the water gone, we have seen the recovery of the demand quite strongly in the northern part, in the eastern part of Thailand, and also in the south.
Judging from the reactions of SCG's business partners, Kan believed the floods will not drive away investors from the country.
We have almost 50 joint venture partners, and I check all of them, they are still committed to Thailand, because I would say that, and what they believe, our friends believe, they have big and also large, very, very large operation in Thailand. They use Thailand as a hub for their manufacturing process, the plants. So they believe that the government with the private sector can join hands to solve this problem. And this is a good chance for Thailand to solve this problem in the longer term.
When asked about the reactions of Malaysian businessmen and investors to the Thai floods, Asman Mokhtar, managing director of Khazanah Nasional, an investment holding arm of the Malaysian government, said this event, as well as other natural calamities, have alerted businessmen that supply chain disruptions could happen. Malaysian businessmen or investors?
There are some Malaysian businessmen who are in the auto industry, in the parts sector, for example, and I think their operations have been affected, like everyone else. And I think, as I said, these floods, basically, not just in Thailand, but I think after what happened in Fukushima, for example, in Japan, highlighted that anybody with operations will need to think through how supply chain disruption could happen.
Mokhtar said Thailand has had a very good record of having a welcoming investment environment. Reports of water receding in several areas in the capital are good news. The country will likely have its infrastructure upgraded in terms of water management and dam construction, he added. SCG has injected more than 200 million baht in flood relief efforts and has helped alleviate impacts on business partners and stakeholders. As one of Thailand's largest conglomerates, SCG attempts to revive the confidence of international investors once more in this kingdom. Weena Jongprasit, ASEAN TV, Bali.